Well, good day and I love you. We are outside for a walk, Ahimsa and I. I thought I'd tell you a story while I have the opportunity. So, my son and I stopped by a gas station the other day. Let me see how long I have to make this video. My son and I stopped by a gas station the other day, and it was a gas station in probably not the most desirable area of town. And as we went in, there was a great deal of distress in the gas station. There was a man at the counter, an older man, and he was trying to buy something, and the man behind the counter was saying, you got to use your PIN number. And the man on the other side was obviously not knowing his PIN number and steadily losing control by the second. And so he was becoming much more and more agitated. And he was, at one point he says, I could use this card anywhere. I could go outside and get gas with it. And so I offered that maybe he could just bypass the PIN, and the man behind the counter very graciously said, they have not updated our system. I know that that is the way it is supposed to be, but they have not come to update our system. And so then I understood that he probably dealt with this crap a whole lot. So hey, we're walking together, you're not walking me. Thank you. So at that point, he says, I'll take this soda. I'll give you the money later. And he grabs the soda and he leaves the things that he wants on the counter and he storms out. Well, not 30 seconds later, he's storming back in while the next man behind the counter is also not remembering his PIN number, and he's becoming agitated with the situation. And so the level of volatility could be escalating by the second. And I could feel that it could go that way because I could tell that my son behind me, not exactly learned in these situations, not experienced in these situations, is starting to stand a little taller and look a little more serious, and I can feel his energy bucking up behind me. And so the upset gentleman, we'll call him the upset older gentleman, storms back in, throws $1 at the man behind the counter, and then he sits down on the ice cream cooler. He sits down and he opens his soda and he cracks his soda and he says, I'm 70 years old and I got dementia and I still gotta work. And I'm mad about that. And I said, well, I hear you. And I can understand how you are mad about that. Thank you for sharing. And he just looked at me. He looked like he was gonna cry. So the man in front of me finishes his exchange gracefully. I guess gratefully remembering his PIN number. I don't think it would have gone through. And then it's my turn. And so I get up to the counter, and at first I ask the man behind the counter where he is from, and he says he is from India. So at that point I said, hello, how are you, in Hindi. And he smiled, a huge smile. And then I bought my gas. I'm tangled here. I bought my gas, and then I asked to pay for the things that the gentleman wanted. And the man behind the counter smiled and he said, you will pay for this? And I said, yes, please. So the man wanted nothing more than a thing of laundry detergent. So I bought the laundry detergent, and then I backed up from the counter and I said, sir. And he looked at me. Oh, I forgot to tell you this part. He said, before I got to the counter, you know, you look like Marilyn Monroe. It's kind of a key part of the story. When I told him I could understand what he was saying about being 70 and having dementia and all that. And he says, you know, you look like Marilyn Monroe. And I said, well, I hope so. And he says, you do. You look good. I said, well, thank you. So then when I got up to the counter, I spoke a little Hindi to the man and bought the laundry detergent. And then I looked over and I said, sir, this is for you. And he said, you got that for me? And I said, sir, it was my pleasure. And he goes, well, I owe you. And I said, not a thing. And I said, I love you. And he looked at me like he was gonna cry and told me he loved me. Then I looked at the man behind the counter. I told him I loved him, and he told me he loved me too, and smiled. And we walked out of that store feeling about as safe as humanly possible on planet Earth, in a not so great neighborhood that apparently regularly experiences some, we will call it, less than favorable circumstances. And I was teaching my son how powerful beauty can be, how conductive compassion is, how important it is to be a connecting part of the human race. Just to take a second and smile at another human, to listen to what's going on with them, can be the changing energy and force in a day. Notice I'm using science words. It's all about energy. And that connection that we offer when we gift compassion to another human being in any given day is what it's all about. So, that was the first part of our story. I'm going to share that today, and then I'll share where we went upon getting gas in the next story. Thank you for being here. I hope you take the time to love on yourself so you got it to give to another. You can't give what you don't have. All this crap about, I'm going to go be of service to service to service to service to service to service. You got to show up and love on yourself and connect to your source first. Only then can you fill your own bucket, and then you can go pour into someone else's glass. Thank you for letting me share. Thank you for being here. And, she yanked me at just that time. I love you. Mwah.